Dar Meher Baba ki jai. So why don't we start with My Wish? Mamaji, why don't you read My Wish?
Yes,
If you please, Jai Baba.
Avtar Meher Baba ki jai. My wish, the lover has to keep the wish of the beloved. My wish for my lover is as follows. Do not shirk your responsibilities. Attend faithfully to your worldly duties, but keep always at the back of your mind that all this is Baba's. When you feel happy, think Baba wants me to be happy. When you suffer, think Baba wants me to suffer. Be resigned to every situation and think honestly and sincerely. Baba has placed me in this situation with the understanding that Baba is in everyone. Try to help and serve others. I say with my divine authority to each and all that whosoever takes my name at the time of breathing is lost comes to me. So do not forget to remember me in your last moments. Unless you start remembering me from now on, it will be difficult to remember me when your end approaches. You should start practicing from now on. Even if you take my name only once every day, you will not forget to remember me in your dying moment. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Thank you, Mamaji. And there's Samadhi Darshan provided by Sanjay ji, who's at Mehrabad. So I'll just stop sharing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sanjay ji. I think this must be after
Jai Baba,
prayers.
everyone. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba, Jai
Jai
Baba,
Jai Baba.
Jai
Jai
Baba,
Baba.
Jai Baba. Okay, with that, let's get back to our reading. Man, Baba ki jai. Okay, so we are at session number 30, and we have finished up to page 199, and we are starting from the, a new chapter. I don't know. Yeah, it's 8. It's chapter 8 of volume 2, and the period is 1950. So, with that, let's get started. So, we'll get started. Anybody wants to start reading, or I'll read for a bit and then we rotate? Yeah, I'll read for a bit, maybe 10 minutes, and then we have quite a few we can rotate this morning. Tar Meher Baba ki jai. Jai. Title of the chapter is Stay at Motichur, 1950, Part 3. New Life Phase, a Spiritual Emergency. On January 25th, Adi Ghani Babadas and Anna 104, having accepted Plan 1C, left Dehradun for their respective places. As they embraced each other farewell, tears sparkled in the eyes of the companions. According to the new life conditions, they were not to meet each other again in the future. Tonkin, as per Plan 1B, was to be a medical practitioner at Dehradun. He had willingly agreed to shoulder the responsibility of providing for Kaka, who was still unwell, and also for Gustaji, who was too old to get any job. For the group of 8 who were in Plan 3, Baba appointed Vishnu as their manager for their household affairs. Obedience to Baba's orders continued to be of paramount importance. It should, however, be noted that obeying Baba, the God man, was qualitatively different from obeying anyone else, however great. The new life phase appears to some as a period of spiritual emergency. Accompanying Baba in this phase was not compulsory, but from those who decided to be his companions, He expected implicit obedience and unfailing loyalty, whether through planned journeys or aimless wanderings, reasonable doings or reasonless dealings. Baba's work of awakening the hearts continued on different planes of consciousness to reveal in time to come the divinity latent in each. Baba's life was divinity in action. So the fortunate ones who were given the option of participating in his work had to obey the God man wholeheartedly. In one of the meetings, Baba had clearly stated, "You may believe that I am the avatar, God, devil, or anything or anyone you please. But you must understand that although I may live among you as if I were your brother or friend, I will in fact be your master, whom you must obey absolutely." The end of the meeting, Baba pointed out that from March 1st, he expected complete obedience from those who had accepted Plan 3. Was the compassionate one becoming the merciless one? After studying the methods that Baba used in his relationship with the companions, one would, in fairness, agree that he had beautifully blended the ways of Marpa and Milarepa, the Tibetan masters, in an incredible integrity. Baba's orders and statements were not irrational, but super-rational, beyond the grasp of the human mind. In the midst of these serious discussions, an amusing incident occurred which provided a little fun. Anna 104 of Plan 1C, while leaving Dehradun, unwittingly carried Gustadji's baggage instead of his own. That bag contained Gustadji's warm clothing and other necessary things. Dear old Gustadji, who was observing silence, tried to express his inconvenience and displeasure through gestures to all, including Baba. This aroused sympathy for Gustadji, who was going to suffer the discomforts of the severe cold. Gustadji, through his lively gestures and irrepressible facial expressions, had so many times entertained Baba with humorous and funny stories, but this time he himself had to play the tragedian. This event, however, ended happily, for after some days, Gustadji's belongings were collected and sent back to Dehradun. When has God to worry? In the next meeting, Donkin was asked by Baba to visit Bombay to purchase some medical appliances and surgical instruments for his dispensary at Dehradun. While returning, he was instructed to bring a typewriter for money and some sewing material and aids. Baba had previously hinted that the women accompanying him might be asked to take jobs or earn money by doing odd work like stitching clothes. In those days, Mani and Mehru were not keeping well. It was tiresome for them to attend to the work in the kitchen. So Baba asked Donkin to meet Naja, Nariman's place in Bombay, and if she was willing to invite her for a stay at Manjari Mafi. This was not an order from Baba, but it was a choice given to her. The only condition she had to observe strictly was that she was not to refer to any incident or person from the good old life. In Mahant's house, people were not allowed to meet Baba, but he was easily available to the family members of Nalawala and Kumar, Ghildiad. They were lucky people indeed to be in Baba's physical presence when his dearest disciples and devotees were not allowed to have even a glimpse of him. Kumar had newly come into Baba's contact, but Kaikobad, Keki, and Freni Nalawala had met Baba a few years before. In April 1941, when Baba was staying in Dalanwala on New Road, Keki had Baba's auspicious and heartwarming darshan. Later in 1946, he helped Papa Jesawala find a quiet bungalow near Dehradun for Baba's spiritual work. It was located about 5 kilometers away from the city in a village called Niranjanpur. Baba stayed here with a group of his disciples for about 8 months. Baba wished to remain undisturbed, so his stay at Niranjanpur remained a closely guarded secret. In The Wayfarers, an account of Baba's work with the god intoxicated souls, Niranjanpur was only referenced to as a place of seclusion. Yet, on some mornings, Baba allowed Keki to see him. As a way of accepting the wholehearted services that he had rendered, Baba consented one day to have a simple meal of rice, dal, and chutney at his home in Dehradun. Baba instructed that the lunch should be prepared by his wife Freni in complete silence. It was an indirect opportunity given to her for remembering him wholeheartedly. This indirectly helped her clean and purify her mind and heart to receive the radiance of Baba's love. This was her first unforgettable meeting with Baba. It was during this visit that their son, Naushirwan, 2-month-old baby, had the unique fortune to rest in Baba's lap. Blessed family. There is a footnote. Naushirwan Anzar, the editor of Glow International. So we discussed this last reading when we came across Keki and Nalawala's name. This breeze of compassion continued to blow towards this lucky group even in the new life. In 1950, Baba paid another visit to their house. He lovingly inquired about each. Reni told Baba that Keki unnecessarily worried himself sick about certain things in life. Baba flashed a carefree smile and, in simple words, gave some profound advice. If you worry about yourself, God does not worry about you. And why should He? If you stop worrying, God has to begin to worry for you. Remember Him wholeheartedly. Leave your worrying to Him and be free to remain cheerful. Had not Baba been in the new life, he would have replaced the word God with Baba. Or, a year later, in a similar situation, he authoritatively conveyed, whenever my lovers one pointedly call on me, I dare not ignore them. All residing in Mahan's house were kept busy with some work. Baba gave different duties and instructions to different companions. He told Pendu and Vishnu to sell the vehicles and animals. The money received in this transaction was to be handed over to Donkin to work out Plan 1B. The white horse was not to be sold. It was received in Bhiksha from Khare. So the horse was given to Donkin. He was free to keep it or give it away to anyone. The 4 bullocks worth 2,500 rupees were donated by the women companions to an institution called Nanhi Dunia, Children's World. Baba told the principal that the work done by creating opportunities in, in which good qualities in the hearts of innocent children blossom and flower was and is always noble and commendable in the eyes of God.
Karthik, there's
Baba
another footnote,
encouraged, yeah, yeah,
number
I'll
two.
go to that. I'll go to that. I'll go to that. Baba encouraged him to carry on with this meritorious work in a spirit of selfless service, leaving the results to the all knowing will of God. Now we can go to the second one. Mani Baba's sister once said, what can I say about children? If Baba hadn't loved children so much, he wouldn't have loved us so much. Wherever Baba was and where there were any children, they somehow always came to him. I remember in 1952 on the plane to the United States, of course, nobody knew who Baba was. The children would walk down the aisle and constantly stop where Baba was sitting and caress his coat or look up at him. And their mothers would be after them. Don't disturb that gentleman. Then Baba would smile, the mothers would relax and forget to scold. I think they wanted to come and caress Baba too. The Awakener. Okay, this is from the Awakener, volume 13, numbers 1 and 2, page 77. This footnote was included against the reference to the payment made to Nanhi Dunia. So let's finish the rest of that paragraph. Nalawala and Erich Mistri, El Chab, were directed to find a suitable flat in the city for Donkin to use as his dispensary. Irach Jesawala was often sent to see Kumar to find out how the construction of the hut, the extension of the old building, and the newly dug well on the Hardwar property were coming along. Next section is Baba's Game of Love. Anybody wants to read? Ravi, are you in a good position to read?
Yeah, I can read.
No. Go ahead. Any
Yeah, Baba.
comments before we continue? So, um, reference to Baba's stricter instructions now with phase 3 or plan 3. And let's find out what happens in the coming days in Mandali Mafi. Let's go ahead.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Baba's
Baba.
Game of Love. By February 10th, Duncan returned from Bombay to Dehradun with Naja, Baba's cousin and master cook. Naja knew Baba's likes and dislikes about food better than anyone else. Her services became indispensable, especially after the two accidents. The day she arrived at Manjari Mafi, Baba entrusted her with the work of preparing Rava for his forthcoming birthday. According to the Zoroastrian calendar, it fell on February 12th. On this day, it was very chilly in the morning. When Baba was sitting with the companions, he, as usual, asked them about their sleep and the weather. To this, Nilu replied that he could not sleep and added, "It's cold, cold, cold." This evoked Baba's sporadic mood to compose a short stanza. He dictated, "We are neither young or old. Our everything is soul. Neither we have silver or gold. There is new life all told." To this, Duncan added, "From March till it will unfold." And Baba concluded, "For those who are really bold, conditions 100% to hold." Was it Baba's birthday message to the companions to be buoyant and bold?
Okay, the stanzas came from the New Life Circular number 4, issued on 7/3/1950. But this is
Yeah.
early Jan, because he's
Mhm.
referring to March in this. From March, it'll unfold.
Yeah.
Okay. From
Was
Was
it
it
Baba's
Baba's
birthday
birthday?
message to the companions to be buoyant and bold in spite of the grim and cold weather, the discomforts of the new life? Four, number four.
Yeah.
To a follower who was dejected, Baba once conveyed, "You don't want to be old before your time. Be careful in deed and word and in
Cheerful.
appearance."
Be cheerful.
Cheerful in deed and word and in appearance. Most of all, in appearance. It is a divine art to look cheerful. It helps others. Hmm. So
That's
keep
interesting.
smiling.
Yeah, that's very
Divine,
interesting.
very
I've never
interesting. Yeah.
seen, yeah, I've never seen Baba's message to this effect, but it's so interesting.
This
So,
is this
all
is
Uh-huh.
of you,
very
just
popular,
remember
Karthik.
this.
Very
Okay.
this is a very popular message. Yeah,
Oh,
Baba.
okay. So it is a
Second.
divine art to look cheerful.
Who is that? Somebody said,
Sure.
"Avatar Meher Baba ki jai."
Yeah, I think he's near Samadhi. Yeah. So maybe it was someone
Namita.
else.
Okay. Okay.
No, I think it was Sanjay's mic. Maybe somebody at the Samadhi area. He's in
Yeah,
Meherbad walking
Namita. It
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounded
I
like Namita.
started my car, so I started my
Oh,
car.
Ah, your message.
That's a welcome message. Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yes, yes, yes. So he has that set up that way. Okay, let's go back to the paragraph after the supplement. I mean, the
yeah.
footnote. Some families. Yeah.
Some families were invited to participate in the informal celebration of Baba's birthday. Baba distributed rava and prasad to the visitors. In addition, he also gave good bhajias to all, followed by tea. Those who attended this program still remember with great delight and reverence this pleasant occasion. when they received delicious prasad at Baba's hands. To commemorate this festive occasion, they continue to share rava with their friends and Baba people on their beloved's birthday. The next day, Duncan left Manjri Mafi for Dehradun in connection with the dispensary work. Sadashiv Patel left for Pune. He was to help arrangement walas, Nariman and Meherji in some legal matters. Manak Mehta of Bombay had been given the option of joining Baba's new life as one of his companions from January 1951. In spite of this concession, he had not let Baba know his decision. So by the end of January, Baba sent a letter to him through Adi, but once more no reply was received. A reminder was then sent, which too remained unanswered. Eventually, it turned out that Manik, who had composed devotional songs on Baba's divinity, had been deluded by Maya's trick and lost the chance to be with Baba in the new life. Such incidents reveal how, in spite of having had Baba's close darshan and intimate contact, it was possible in the case of some not to realize how precious those opportunities were. Baba had said, I am most slippery. On the other hand, we also come across some Baba people who had only casually heard of him or had caught a glimpse of him, but were impatient to leave all and to follow him with unfailing fidelity, and Baba had to order them to wait. No one is to be blamed. Baba, the Infinite One, alone knows the moves he plays through us all in his game of love. Big mistake remains a secret. From the second half of February, the companions had tea and
I can,
chapatis for breakfast at 5
if I
a.m.
can pause you before you continue on the next section, I was reminded of the conversations we had with Rini Auntie, and somehow I feel that she, of course, like I mentioned last week as well, she has cooked for Baba, but I remember one incident where she described this Rava and birthday celebration vividly. So, like it is recounted here in writing, maybe it was very special. Baba was in a very, very special mood, and she completely lit up when she was explaining this. I remember she describes this little birthday celebration, and in fact, she also said she was unsure of the Rava lasting all the people, but then kept inviting the, people, and then it lasted all the way, and so on. So I was just reminded of that. She lived her
Mhm.
last years in Bangalore, and in fact, her biggest pillar of support and strength in practical work and living a comfortable life, apart from her daughter, I think, who was nearby, was Geeta Auntie, who's Ravi's sister in Bangalore. Maybe you can start again from the beginning of this section.
Mm. From the second half of February, the companions had tea and chapatis for breakfast at 5 a.m. Soon after, Baba would visit them. The weather during the month was unpredictable, and so were Baba's moods. It all depended on the spiritual work he was engaged in. Sometimes Baba would be in a pensive mood or get upset over ordinary matters. There were occasions when he would ask a few of the companions to pinch his ears for losing his temper. Though it happened rarely, there arose a few situations where, under some pretext, he would ask someone to slap him. This order had to be obeyed immediately. What an incredible companionship! It was not a life meant for the weak need. Once Baba had quoted a couplet of Hafiz wherein the poet stated that the aspiration for God realization is in itself an indication of stark madness. One could, however, say that to stay with the God man during his different phases of work, such madness was essential. Only those who, with his grace, surrendered their intellect to him and become devotedly pliable could stay with him. Spiritual blossoming depends upon the showering of the Master's compassion from beginning to end. For most of the time, Baba was very considerate about his companions' faults and was forgiving. After an early supper, he would generally spend half an hour with them in light talk. To find Baba in a really cheerful mood was an occasion of great delight to all. During such moments, he would look exquisitely graceful, his face beaming with an extraordinary glow about it. A few days earlier, Baba had sent one of the companions to visit Hardwar and bring back water in 2 jars from the holy Ganges. In the third week of February, he instructed Baidal to empty these waters in the current of the Ganges at Rishikesh, to refill them and to bring them back to Manjri Mafi. Was Baba symbolically sanctifying the flow of the Ganges from Rishikesh to Hardwar? For the thousands of sadhus and pilgrims who were expected to visit these places of pilgrimage to have a dip in the river during the Kumbh Mela. On Baidal's arrival, Baba used water from one of the jars for his bath. Water in the second jar was to be utilized on March 1st, the day of the new phase in Baba's new life. Nalawala and Elcha Mistri were successful in securing a place at Dehradun for Donkin's dispensary, and the necessary papers for leasing it were executed. Baba agreed to visit the dispensary on its opening day. Murali, one of the companions, was asked to give homeopathic treatment to the patients coming from the nearby villages. One day, while returning on foot from Mahant's house, an old woman approached Baba. Her son was ill in bed. He had vomited many times and was also suffering from acute dysentery. On Baba's instructed, Neelu gave free medical treatment to him. There was a rapid recovery, and within few days, the young man visited Baba's residence and profusely thanked Neelu. Even in the new life, Baba's loving concern for the sick and the poor and the afflicted, whom he instantly met, continued. Baba had given a special interview to Norina and Elizabeth in the first week of August 1949. At that time, he had promised Elizabeth that he would visit the West. In connection with this matter, he directed Donkin to write a letter to Elizabeth inquiring about the possibility of his visiting the States in the near future. The conditions of this visit were previously explained to her. Adi, who had accepted Plan 1C and had returned to Ahmednagar, sent 1,000 rupees to be used for the requirements of the companions. While strictly adhering to the conditions of the plan, he had saved this amount from the insurance business he had entered on his return from Dehradun. This pleased Baba, and he sent an encouraging telegram to Adi. In view of the thousands of sadhus, sannyasis, nangas, and bairagis who were expected to visit Hardwar in large numbers for the Kumbh Mela, Baba decided to shift his headquarters temporarily to Motichur. It was a village about 5 kilometers from Hardwar. From this place, it seemed convenient for him to visit the premises of the Kumbh congregation. On March 1st, Baba asked for a small pair of scissors and cut a lock of hair from the head of each companion. Then he had a bath with water from the Ganges brought by Badal. He gave no explanation about this particular haircut and bath. No one asked him about it. On March 3rd, Baba was to leave for Motichur with Pendu, Urich, Baidal, Gustaji, Murali, and Alaba. Vishnu and Neelu were to stay at Manjri Mafi to look after the women companions and also to take care of Kaka, who was still unwell. In the morning, Baba asked companions under Plan 3 to wash their feet. He then placed his forehead on the feet of each. He apologized to them in case he had hurt their feelings. Simultaneously, he pardoned them all for the mistakes committed by them, if any. At the end, he conveyed the following. During the period between October 16th, 1949 and March 1st, 1950, I have committed consciously and deliberately one big mistake, and I want the companions to kick me so that God forgives me. Then he gestured to the companions to obey his order. You can imagine the plight of those who had to kick hard the beloved of their own hearts, for whom they were ready to lay down their very lives most willingly. Baba never disclosed, even in the latter years, what this big mistake was for which he underwent that submissive act of chastisement. The origin of the Kumbh Mela. As was planned, Baba, with a few companions, left for Motichur by the noon train. The rest set out in a bullock cart with the necessary luggage piled in it. Baba liked the house at Motichur. According to Baba's instructions, in one of the rooms a hut was erected with a thatched roof. Outside the room, a small tent was also pitched. Baba was to be in seclusion in this hut. In the evening, he distributed chapatis and vegetables to the companions. This was their simple supper. Baba wanted Jal S, his younger brother, to stay with him at Motichur. So some days back, a letter had been mailed to Jal. However, Jal expressed his inability to join the Baba's party, owing to his illness. The life at Motichur was austere and the diet frugal. In the morning, the companions had tea with a little milk, while in the afternoon it was without milk. The companions and Baba had only one plain meal a day. Baba himself swept his room, washed his clothes, and cleaned the parts he used. Was Baba indirectly contacting through these austerities the spiritually minded people who are also leading disciplined lives and were due to arrive for the Kumbh Mela on March 7th? Baba walked to Bhimagoda. Urich, Baidal, and other companions were asked to collect information about the different camps of the sadhus and the Mahatmas and their expected arrival dates at Hardwar. There is an interesting mythological Puranic background to this fair. It is believed that when the ocean was churned by the devas, gods, and asuras, demons, 14 mysterious things came out of it. Next to the last but one was a jar of deadly poison which Shiva drank. Then there came out Kumbha of Amrit, pitcher of nectar that had a quality of bestowing immortality. The Asuras wanted to possess this pitcher, while the Devas wanted to carry it to the heavens. During this dispute and subsequent pursuit to the bearer of this pitcher, while rushing to the heaven, unwittingly spilled a few drops of nectar in the river beds at four places: Nasik, Ujjain, Allahabad, and Hardwar. Therefore, Kumbh festival is held at these four places. The exact dates of the fair are connected with certain astronomical positions. Anyway, March 1950 served as a good opportunity for Baba to bless thousands of pilgrims and hundreds of sadhus and Mahatmas with his divine physical presence. Baba wished to begin his work at Hardwar on March 15th. Prior to this, he planned to visit Rishikesh, and accordingly, he paid visits to Kailas and Mangal ashrams. He also contacted many aspirants residing in different cottages, huts, and caves. He either touched their feet with his hands or, in some cases, placed his forehead on them. In the old life, the disciples accompanying Baba were not allowed to witness him touching or bowing down either to the masks or spiritually advanced souls. From the new life onwards, there was no ban on watching Baba pay his respects to the mass or to the poor, unburdening an old life burden. After a week's stay at Motichor, Baba returned to Manjri Mafi for 2 days. He was pleased to find Kaka in good health. Coincidentally, Duncan too had come from Dehradun and met Baba. In the course of the conversation, he brought to Baba's notice the contents of a letter he had received from Ganoba. Baba did not approve much of Gani's way of indirectly calling Baba's attention to his problems concerning the Lonavala property. It seems, however, that Baba had a soft corner in his heart for his childhood chum, Gani. The next day, he sent a letter to the arrangement walas explaining the circumstances which had made him consider Gani's case rather differently. In the circular to be issued, he himself begged his old life disciples and devotees to help him discharge the debt, which he treated as an old life burden. This debt, which in fact was one only because Baba had so declared it, was thus fully repaid. In Meher Baba's life, receiving and distributing money was a significant activity. He had turned down grand offers and sometimes asked for small sums. His acceptance and refusal of money was qualitatively different from that of an ordinary man. He neither desired to process money nor was opposed to it. He used it for the spiritual upliftment of the masses and to fulfill the material needs of the poor. Baba's love for his lovers was so great that sometimes, overlooking their weaknesses, he went out of the way to help them monetarily by begging money from his other loved ones. As far as I recall, Meher Baba had once stated that the person is really rich who knows how to spend his wealth well, irrespective of its extent. One who hoards money with selfish ends, however small or large the amount may be, is really poor. To the above mentioned circular, it was as if Baba had offered his dear ones a chance to be really rich. When he was given the sum fixed by Baba, and not a rupee more was accepted by the arrangement walas, for this specific purpose. Call this method what you may, a benediction or bait, but this too was one of Baba's way of winning his dear ones for their spiritual benefit. In one of the discourses, Meher Baba had explained why the Master tolerates and failings of the disciples with unfailing patience, and subsequently how these lapses were used to awaken them to higher aspects of living. What sort of a Bhagavan is he?
No, hold on. There's a,
Uh,
yeah, it's from Ways of the Masters, Volume 2 discourses.
I see, I see.
Yeah,
What
maybe we
sort of
can
a
pause.
Bhagavan is he?
Any thoughts or any comments before we continue?
Hmm.
Okay. So we can also rotate the reading if anybody else wants to read. Ashok, you've been going in and out. You can read if you want. Mamaji can read. Anybody?
I can.
Okay. So thank you, Raviji, for reading till here. And we can start from what sort of Bhagwan. Yeah. Still over to you. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. What sort of Bhagwan is he? Baba was at Motichur one day while having his meal. His notifications blocking. He remarked that the rice was not cooked well. A little later, he expressed regret about his grumbling, about this grumbling, and asked one of the companions to pinch his ears. Having become man, Baba was demonstrating how easily men lose their temper over trifles. Having his ear pinched was Baba's way of reminding his companions to become aware of their ordinary actions. Otherwise, why would Baba have complained about the rice? For in the past, he had immensely enjoyed eating hard, stale pieces of bread given him by the musts. Baba visits to different ashrams in Haridwar and Rishikesh continued. This particular area is typically oriental, evocative of the ancient spiritual traditions. Under the skies of these twin places, aspirants for centuries have longed and nourished noble, selfless feelings, while their minds ponder deeply over the significance of life and the timeless reality. Unfortunately, at present, that glorious past is being exploited by hypocrites. Some seem to don ochre colored robes for everything but God, and it is difficult to differentiate between real and false gurus. During his wanderings, the all knowing Master Baba, as he moved through these people, knew the spiritual worth of each. In 1950, Baba contacted over 10,000 sadhus and sannyasis during the Kumbh Mela. The spiritual significance of these contacts was not revealed to those who were with him. The outward expression of these contacts was so common that those who accompanied him had no idea of the give and take, which transpired on the inner levels of consciousness. The following incident took place earlier in this area, reveals the depth of Baba's contacts with sadhus, yogis, mas, and saints. In 1946, Baba was staying at Niranjanpur, a suburb of Dehradun. Krishna from Kerala was staying with him as a night watchman. Krishna, not Krishna ji, a boy brought to Baba by his brother Jal at Bangalore in 1939. Later, he served Baba as a night watchman, but was sent back home before Baba started for the new life in 1949. One night, while quietly Sitting by the door, he was badly bitten by mosquitoes. He was lightly slapped. He very lightly slapped his legs to get rid of them, but that little sound disturbed Baba's sleep. He called Krishna near him. He began to admonish him for disturbing his sleep. Krishna wanted to complain about the mosquito bites, but Baba ignored his words and dismissed him with an instruction to be more careful in his duty. Krishna felt annoyed with the way Baba had treated him. As he returned to his seat, Saturn seemed to possess him. In the mood of irritation, he began to think, Baba is quite comfortable in the mosquito net, but can he not realize my inconvenience? He says he is God in human form, but he has no pity for those who serve him. What sort of Bhagwan is he? He was restless throughout the night. The night watchman was usually allowed to rest and sleep till late in the morning after his night duty. But that night, Baba unexpectedly instructed Krishna to accompany him during his visit to Hardwar early next morning. Krishna had to forego his rest and sleep, for he was also ordered to arrange for transportation to Haridwar. On reaching Hardwar, Baba disclosed that he had in mind to contact only a must type yogi who for years had been in the habit of standing on one of his legs. For most of this time, he had been observing silence. He had some followers who revered him greatly, yet when Baba arrived, none of them were present. No sooner did Baba approach him than the must became ecstatic, folded his hands with tears of joy streaming down his cheeks, broke his silence, saying, You are Bhagwan, God in human form. O God, I was waiting for you for years, and at last you have come. How blessed am I. Krishna, as he heard these sentences, felt that this visit was an answer to the disbelief entertained that he had entertained the previous night. Baba did not stay any longer with the must, but quickly returned to Dehradun. That night, though feeling drowsy, Krishna tried best to be diligent in his duty, thinking that he would have a long rest next day. But just when he was leaving Baba's room, after his night watch was over, Baba ordered him again to visit Hardwar in the morning and to go meet that yogi like must for a second time. He was to go alone. Krishna was on verge of putting forth the excuse that he was too exhausted, but the words of yogi ringing in his ears restrained him from saying anything. When Krishna reached Haridwar, he noticed that a crowd had gathered around the yogi. They had assembled there for his last darshan, and as he had breathed his last. The bliss of meeting the avatar can be so shattering that sometimes even an advanced soul cannot contain it. Krishna noticed that this mass yogi's face looked blissfully calm, radiating peace all around. His last words to his devotees were, I met Bhagwan face to face and he blessed me. My life's desire is fulfilled. Disclosing this secret in very cheerful mood, he dropped his body. It dawned on Krishna that as he had doubted Baba's godhood, he, in his love for those who serve him, had provided direct evidence of his all-knowing nature through this episode. Krishna realized how blessed he was for the opportunity to wait on Baba as a night watchman. The mosquito bites now seemed insignificant. He thought to himself, what an incredible Bhagwan is Baba. Such incidents, whether in the old or the new life, occasionally revealed the significance of Baba's contacts with the Mas and other spiritually advanced souls. I give love. Uh, okay, the Wayfarers by William Donkin gives a detailed account of Baba's contact with the Mas. In his book, on page 242, he has stated that Baba visited Hardwar at different times with different people and that it was difficult to mention all the contacts made. The incident mentioned above is one not included in the Wayfarers. I give love.
If we can pause, yeah, if we can pause, I think that episode of the man standing on one leg and waiting is very poignant, very touching, right? So Baba literally made that trip to give him probably ordinary mukti or God realization. I don't know what. But he also dropped his body immediately. So that's very interesting. And so, yeah.
Yeah, we've not heard of this incident before. I've not. First time for me.
An interesting thing here is, one is a person is a given realization or a mukti. The other is made to learn certain things. Both are
Yes.
intertwined without any, say, hindrance. And the connection Baba builds is intricately so woven together. Very interesting to note.
Beautiful point. Yeah. And if you see, that's what he does every time, right? So he answers one with an incident of the other, and he's dealing with all of this simultaneously using his omniscience and connecting all the actions of the world.
Yes.
Okay, we can continue.
Yeah.
By the way, in the Kumbh, we did see some people who claim to be standing on one leg for many years and various types of sadhana that they were doing. The camps that are mentioned here is nothing but akhadas, and there's a tradition that these akhadas come and set up their camps well in advance, and the akhadas represent the different mutts, the different faith orders, right? The different orders in spirituality, like they create their own akhadas there, and they spend almost 50 days in the Kumbh. Right? So 45 days, I think that's the number. Let's continue. Anybody, by the way, if you want to rotate the reading, that you can rotate that as well. Anybody else wants to read today?
It's interesting that Baba met all these sadhus and all the people, Nagas and all these people. I was thinking they're all very advanced people. What is the answer? What Baba said? Only
Mhm.
only three people were advanced in this whole 100,000 people we touched. Only three are in spiritual path. That means in the involution path. Rest of them are all in gross plane. That's very
Wow.
interesting.
Only 3 on the evolution path. My goodness. I think we should.
In the next rotation, I can read.
Go ahead, Ashokji.
That's,
All
that's
your
why
turn.
it was
No, no,
said,
I
no,
think next
you have to be crazy to be on the path. You have to be mad.
that was
I
also
think
an
that's what we
interesting
had.
statement.
Yeah.
It was Hafiz's statement. Hafiz's maybe poem to that effect, but that was interesting. Yeah. So well, I need another reader before Ashokji for probably 15-20 minutes. Then Ashokji would read.
I will try.
Sure. Let's go ahead. Jai Baba.
Yeah, Babu.
I give love, I receive love. Turning to the narration of Baba's new life activity, in March 1950, he often paid visits to the different ashrams in Hardwar and Kankhal. In the early morning, With four companions, Gustaji, Baidul, Pendu, and Erich, Baba would leave Motisur on foot and return by late afternoon. Throughout the day, he would walk from place to place in the hot sun, contacting seekers and sadhus, mostly in ochre clothes. In that area, anyone wearing such clothes was referred to by the people as Mahatma. Pendu was the core-keeper. After a fortnight, Pendu's records showed that Baba had contacted over 1,000 persons from the different sects of sadhus, including those from Nirmali and Udasi. The strain of this work especially affected Baba's eyes, but he would not agree to discontinue these strenuous visits. When the number of people contacted reached 1,300, Baba went to Manjari Mafi for a 2-day stay. It was March 21, Jamshed-e Nowroz, New Year's Day for the Zoroastrians. On his arrival, all greeted Baba with Naroz Mubarak. Baba's vital presence filled the hearts of all with great delight. Baba, however, looked tired, and his personal doctor Neelu noticed the ill effects of the physical strain in Baba's eyes. Baba permitted him to prescribe treatment for his eyes, but he also decided to go back to Motichur the next day. Some people interested in spirituality heard about Baba's stay at Motichur. They visited his residence for darshan, but he rarely gave an audience. On one rare occasion, when the visitors expressed their wish to have his blessing, he conveyed to them, "In new life, I give love and I am happy to receive love. No disciple master relationship." Oh, this is a new statement. In new life, I give love and I am happy to receive love. No disciple master relationship. This remark expresses that the new life meant uh, giving and receiving love and love alone on a friendly footing. Baba had become a companion to all, and his new life will ever sing the note of companionship, a free and fearless relationship of man with God.
If I can pause you here, like you reread that line about no disciple master relationship, I'm reminded of the line a few pages earlier when I was reading, where Baba says, "Be whatever happens, remember you have to have obedience to me." So there's a little bit of a contradictory statement there, where he says, "I am one among you, but please remember to be in complete obedience." Actually, let's go and find that line. We are in page 214. So let me go there.
Yes.
Wow, it's covered quite a bit. Maybe I missed it. Here it is. So, in one of the meetings, Baba had clearly stated, "You may believe that I am the avatar, God, devil, or anything or anyone you please. But you must understand that although I may live among you as if I were your brother or friend, I will in fact be your master, whom you must obey absolutely. So that's an interesting contradiction between the two statements.
I think it's right that you highlighted. Yes, yes. You highlighted or underlined that.
Yeah,
Jai,
yeah. Now let's,
Jai Baba.
yeah.
Um, Baba gives them the liberty of, considering him a friend, but they, it's also, I think, indicative of that they shouldn't cross the line. I mean, don't
Hmm.
become buddy until you hang your hand around my neck. I'm friendly, but you must know your, there is limits
Limits.
to, yeah. So I think the two is, progression from there. Yes, I'm your friend, I'm your buddy, but still that line shouldn't be blurred. You should,
Hmm.
I feel that's what the connection is. In office, your seniors say, oh, we are friends, but they have power over you. So how do you take that literally? Do you kind of not take those lines in order? I think he is giving the rope to them, but the the hand that holds the rope is still him. So they have to use their discretion in how far they can go with this friendliness bestowed upon them. Thank you, Jebab.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
That's a good analogy. And also, I think the context is everything, right? Context for when Baba said this and when Baba said this, um, very important. But yeah, I agree with that analogy of how we handle friendliness in an office context. Okay, let's continue.
This remark expresses that the new life meant giving and receiving love, and love alone, on a friendly footing. Baba had become a companion to all, and his new life will ever sing the note of companionship, a free and fearless relationship of man with God. Baba continued his visit to Hardwar, where the sadhus and sannyasis from different parts of India had assembled for the Kumbh Mela. In those days, it seemed that any person with a long beard and hair, or clean shaven, or in an ochre robe, was worthy of receiving Baba's attention. As he walked through the crowded streets, he would cast them a special glance. It would be so penetrating but so quick that the person concerned would hardly realize how significant and potent it was. Sometimes Baba would touch the feet of these people with his fingertips. On such occasions, he would look gracefully divine and yet perfectly human. The person contacted would be struck with Baba's elegance and deep concern about him, but perhaps being blinded by Baba's unseen radiance, he could hardly discern the worth of this sanctifying touch. Once the contact was made, Baba would not wait a moment more. In this way, Baba continued to bless many spiritual aspirants. To illustrate this particular method of paying homage, which Baba adopted during these days, he once held one end of a walking stick in his hand, with the other end in Baidul's. The next moment, he uh, gestured to his companions that he was ready to bow down to anyone Baidul would lead him to. This method of contacting sadhus and the like continued throughout Baba's visit to Hardwar and Rishikesh. Baba could thus use any of the mandalis as an instrument for his spiritual work. The eclipse of the moon. March 27 was one of the important days in the Kumbh Mela. On this day, sadhus, vairagis, and others belonging to various sects were expected to march in procession towards the banks of Ganges to bathe during the specified hours mentioned in the Indian almanac. So thousands of people, fired with excitement, formed near the bathing ghats to witness the ceremony of the day. Because of the crowds, Baba preferred to stay at Motichur. He spent the time washing his own clothes and cleaning the pots, etc. The next day, he visited some camps to contact Mahatmas and Matajis, literally mothers, women aspirants. At a place known as Nirmal Akhada, a Mahant, the chief of the sect, was giving a discourse to a large audience explaining the spiritual bounties derived from the darshan and sahwas of saints and masters. The people had no idea that the one worthy of darshan and sahas was internally listening to this talk for about half an hour. It was rare that Baba ever spent such a long time listening to a spiritual discourse. While bowing down to the hundreds of sadhus, Baba had to bend his back and neck again and again. This strained the muscles and nerves of his tender frame. Perhaps the serious suffering he endured during the 1960s owing to the neck trouble had its origin in this wearing work. Though repeatedly requested by the companions, Baba refused to use any conveyance to reach any ashram. In addition, he also observed a fast on certain days. While returning to Motichur, he often looked very fatigued and walked with heavy steps. The eye trouble did not subside and his health was not good. He, however, seemed totally engrossed and devoted to this darshan taking phase. Darshan taking.
We'll just see these places that are being referred to here. Just try
This,
to
this
see if they show.
dark moon night is the Mauni Amavasya, probably. That's a
Correct,
big
correct.
large day.
Yes.
Yes, it's called Shahi Snan or Amrit Snan. The important days of
Mauni Amavasya.
Mauni Amavasya, correct. Eclipse. So you have this. See, Pichu or something. Yeah,
It's not,
Pichu.
not
Hardwar.
here. It's the dark,
So this is quite a distance. So the obviously Hardwar is close to. So let's see where's Hardwar. Stop.
Northeast of Dehradun is the Hardwar, just
Yeah,
slightly
yeah, yeah.
above.
No, this is right there, right here. So if you see here, this is Hardwar.
Motichur. Yeah,
This is
yeah.
Motichur.
Motichur. Yeah.
So Baba stayed at Motichur just for being close to the Kumbh because he could get access to back and forth from the Kumbh. But otherwise, he was more in Dehradun, which is 3-4 hours maybe. Now the train says 2 hours 20 minutes, but it should be quite a distance because the roads being bad then. So in Dehradun, I think somewhere the village was Niranjanpur, which had the Manjari Mafi building. Yeah, just to give some context to the reading. Yeah, let's continue. April 2.
April 2nd was another important day connected with the fair. It was the full moon day, which concurred with the lunar eclipse. Hindus regard this coincidence as having great spiritual potential, which can be utilized beneficially by devoting this particular period to the worship of God or the God man, especially those who are after occult powers uh, and are known as tantrics repeat certain disciplines and mantras as they stand in the river to revitalize their psychic power. In the early days, Baba had been, I get lost. In the early days, Baba had been asked whether there was a grain of truth in such a belief, and he explained it is a scientifically acknowledged fact that the stellar region, planets, and stars do exert an influence on the life and activity of this planet Earth. And since this Earth of ours has the highest evolved organic life, the human happens to be the nearest to the spiritual plane. The phenomena of eclipse does indirectly affect the world spiritually. The rishis of old knew too well the astronomical basis and the spiritual influence of such heavenly occurrences. Looking at the average mentality of the their masses of their times, the rishis could do no better than issue cut and dried instructions as to prayers and penance and austerities, rather than give a rational and spiritual elucidation. There is, however, no denying the fact that a few prayers undergo with keen concentration concurrently with the eclipse of the sun or the moon do result in spiritual benefit to the individual concerned. Reference 8, Meher Baba
Just
Journal, February 1939, page 76. By the way, I would especially like to add here that on some occasions, I had the opportunity to stay with Baba during eclipses. He, however, did not give any special instruction to those who stayed with him. There was not even a mention of the eclipse during the day. I gathered that any moment spent in the wholehearted remembrance of the timeless one, Baba, is spiritually more beneficial than offering prayers or doing penances on the astronomical auspicious time. On April 2nd, Baba did not visit Hardwar, yet he seemed to participate indirectly in the mass bathing of that day. He had a bath with Ganges water brought to his residence by Baidul. At night, the sadhus and the like were expected to continue their prayers and other ceremonies on the bank of Ganges during the period of eclipse. Oh, at the appearance of the full moon, as per tradition, all were to bathe for a second time before returning to their camps. The next morning, April 3rd, Baba left Motisur as early as 3 a.m. for the Kumbh grounds to meet these holy men. This was the most active and strenuous day for Baba. Without rest or respite, he moved between Hardwar, Kankhal, and Neeldhara for about 10 hours. Through his loving presence and sanctifying touch, Baba quietly poured his radiance upon the ochre race, sadhus and sannyasis, and silently inspired and strengthened them to lead a life of honesty and selfless dedication in their search for God. At the end of the day, day's work, he felt extremely tired, but preferred as usual to walk back to Motilchur on foot.
Okay, can rotate the reading given there's just few minutes left. Oh yeah, it is the
Yes.
news section. Before that, let me just show you those other places if it shows up. Motichur to Neeldhar.
Jai Baba, would you know
Yeah,
how old Baba was around this time?
so it's 1894 to 1950. So
55.
it's 56, yeah.
Then why was he getting tired? I mean, I thought
Hello,
he's,
I also
yeah.
got will
ये
get
हम लोग को
tired.
करके
Everybody
देखना
gets tired.
पड़ेगा. But thousands of people going down.
Yeah.
Was doing a lot of physical
Baba's
work.
body was quite frail. In any
Yeah, he
case, he was
was a
very
lot of.
delicate.
He's taking a lot of toll on the physical body. I mean,
He
so
was
many
very
10,000
delicate also.
people. He was bending down for every sadhu, 10,000 people per day. That must have taken quite a toll on his back. He was very
That's
frail.
understandable.
Jay
Yeah,
Baba,
yeah, sure.
Ravi, I think what you said is correct. And also, the spiritual work uh, drains a lot of energy, and he is trying to resolve all the possible suffering and sins of people. He was taking, like Christ took on him. He was taking the pain of people on him, and that is, I think, the spiritual work drained him more than the physical aspects. Is my guess. Uh,
Also, we
Yes.
mortals should remember that
Sorry.
and also we mortals should remember that he had uh, gone through two accidents also by that time. I
Yes. Yes. Rightly said,
No,
Mama.
the second one is not done. Yeah, first one.
not.
First one is done. So if you see, they're all nearby, and if you walk, it's quite a bit. So if you see, if you walk, Motichur to Hardwar, Kankhal, and Neeldhar. So, by the way, Neeldhara, I'm guessing should be. I couldn't find Neeldhara as a place, but yeah, it's all around here. But it's quite a bit of walking, right? 13 kilometers of walking at 50 plus. Walking and dealing with all these people is not easy. So you have to be a lot more compassionate towards Baba Amitabh.
Yeah, now I'm compassionate. I was just trying to infuse Baba's humor back to him. Thank you.
Okay,
Jai
okay,
Baba. Jai Baba.
accepted. Yeah, thank you, Mama Ji. So Ashok,
Okay.
you can read with your company. Jai Baba.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Raja, the English bull. During each visit to Hardwar, Baba had to walk about 20 kilometers and had to spend 6 to 8 hours in the sweltering sun, meeting and bowing down to mendicants and Mahatmas residing at different places. In spite of the great physical exertion, Baba would not agree to use any conveyance. Very
So if I
rarely,
pause you here, the fact is confirmed by what we just talked, right? So it is about 20 kilometers up and down. One way is 13 kilometers. We just saw it. So two ways, it's 20
This
kilometers.
this explains
Yeah.
why he was so,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
and also the sweltering sun. So it's
Sun. Yes. March sun. Yes.
very rarely he consented to hire a tonga to reach Motichur. In fact, there was an ox cart at his disposal, which had transported the party's odd things, utensils, etc., from Manjari Mafi to Motichur. It was drawn by a single ox called Raja, brought from Ahmednagar along with the caravan. As a calf, Raja had been presented to Baba by Saroj. Baba had a special fondness for him, and he was occasionally fed by Baba. Raja was an English Raja was an English bull and looked very noble. It was brought to Baba's notice that Raja needed some work and the cart could easily take Baba to Hardwar. Baba agreed that Raja would have some exercise, and he told Murli to yoke Raja daily and visit Hardwar to purchase good fodder for him. He, however, did not comply with the request of the companions to make use of the ox cart for himself. Murli commenced his daily cart drive. One day, when he was returning to Motichur, someone driving a car honked from behind. Raja, licking his nostrils with his rough tongue, was, was leisurely swaying his neck from left to right, did not move aside. The roof was rather narrow, the car could not pass. So the driver repeatedly honked his horn and got annoyed with Murli, who was holding Raja's reins. Finally, the car overtook the cart and its driver, a British officer, stopped the car, got down, and grumbled at Murli for his indifference to the traffic rules. Upon this, Murli humbly apologized to him and softly added, "But sir, that was not my fault. I tried my best, but the bull did not respond to my language. Perhaps it will understand you better. He is an English bull." Raja's expression of unconcern and Murli's sense of humor made that grim Englishman not only smile but also laugh merrily. He spent a few minutes more, asked some questions about Raja, and had a good chat with Murli. In the evening, when Baba heard the story about Raja, it provided him a few moments of joy and relaxation after his exhausting work during the day. At the end of the conversation, Baba suddenly announced that Raja should be unconditionally donated to any good institution. This habit of immediately declaring some plan or order about a person or object which had come up quite incidentally in the conversation was typical of Baba. In the light of Baba's instruction, Pendu, while returning from Motishu to Manjari Mafi, contacted Sister Miraben, Miss Madeline Slade, a close associate of Gandhiji, who was maintaining Pashu Lok, uh,
Ashulok.
sorry, Pashu Lok, correct, and an animal farm near Dehradun. She personally wanted to have Raja, but the rules of the institution prevented her from accepting him. So in the end, Raja was donated to Goshala, house of cows and calves. This incidental mention of Miraben's name brings to mind a controversial statement linked with her name in Ram Landau's book entitled God is My Adventure, published in 1935. With reference to Gandhi's meeting with Baba on the steamer Rajputana in 1931, the author writes,
Before we go to that, there is a reference to 9. My God.
in fact, I was also just thinking about the cross reference.
Yeah. So, yeah. Doing the
Although the reference, cross reference 9, although the decision to give Raja away had been made at Motichur, this was not actually accomplished until after the group returned to Manjri Mafi.
now the Gandhiji message. Yeah.
Yeah. I was traveling to America in the same boat as Miss Madeline Slade, Gandhiji's English disciple and companion. I asked Meera Ben, as Slade was called, about Baba's conversation with Gandhi. I know all the details about the connection between the two men, she said. It was always Sri Meher Baba who went to see Gandhi, never otherwise. Sri Meher Baba sent around the word, asking whether Gandhi would receive him. Gandhi, of course, consented. They had a talk, and after that, Sri Meher Baba visited Gandhi again in London. This information is totally distorted. On the contrary, it was Gandhiji who, after receiving a telegram from Jamshed Mehta, the mayor of Karachi, desired to see Baba. Baba's secretary, F.H. Chanji, who was well acquainted with Gandhiji, brought the above statement to Gandhiji's notice. Later, Gandhiji wrote a letter to Chanji as follows. Sevagram via Varda, MP, 20th September 1941. Dear Dara Chanji, with reference to the alleged interview with Miraben reported by Rom Landau, you may announce to the curious that it was not Meher Baba who sought me out on the Rajputana, but I had sought him out in his cabin, and it was I who used to go frequently to his cabin. And you were Baba's interpreter of the alphabetic board plate, which he held to converse with the world. You know the spiritual nature of our conversation. I had further invited Baba to meet me in London during the time I was there. Yours sincerely, MK Gandhi. This is the cross reference 10. The photostat of the original letter is with Meher Baba's disciples. I also know a few similar incidents when ill-intentioned and superficially interested persons have tried to malign Baba and his cause, but these will be dealt with later. All such reactions, I noted, have their root in contempt prior to honest investigation.
Okay, I think we will stop at this point and continue next Saturday. Any thoughts before we stop recording?
Yeah,
This book
yesterday,
is so.
I think
Yeah.
when we met
Okay.
last time, sorry. When we
Yeah.
met last time, Ravi and Singh, we had not met Rajendra Murthy, right, in MPR.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I was talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
suddenly went to Baba just after breakfast yesterday.
Yes.
How did he die? Do you have any details, Sanjay?
He had a massive heart attack, it seems. So he had his breakfast, and when he came out, he was not feeling easy, and then he
In
vomited.
MPR? Was he in MPR?
In MPR,
Oh,
right at the corridor where we have office. There.
yeah.
And then he was rushed to in an auto rickshaw to a doctor. On the way, he was passed,
Hmm.
went to Baba. So I had known him since '87 when I came to Mumbai. That's my earliest Baba contacts in the city.
Hmm.
And the whole family, Aparao family. So, of course, most of them.
Where are they from?
He is basically has lived in Mumbai all his life, but they are from Andhra,
Telugu. Yeah.
Telugu people. Yeah. So there was
I've also
Aparao.
seen him at Samadhi.
Yeah, he was managing the queue, if you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
recall.
yeah.
Yeah. He was managing the queue and working with TED for many years, managing the Darshan queue during the Amar Tithi.
Is it the
So,
couple?
yeah,
He's a lucky one. See where he passed on.
I'll post his picture, one of his pictures.
Yeah. I think it's on all the groups. And
Yeah.
like we were discussing earlier, you introduced us to him this time.
Yeah.
I've seen him many times, but then you introduced and explained what you just said now.
Yeah.
So both Ravi and I met,
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure Ashok was there as well. Anyway, I will stop recording at this time, but I would request you all to hang around for a minute. Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai.